Hey everyone, welcome back to the Leadership Project with your host Mick Spears. Our vision is to inspire all leaders to challenge the status quo. We bring you weekly topics and thought-provoking guests to get you to stop, reflect, and think about what it means to be a leader in a modern world. Our aim is to help you become the leader you wish you always had, as we learn together and lead together. Please enjoy the show. So let's now get into the burnout topic. Not sure which one to start with, either the self or the team. Let's start with the team. What are some of the signs that a leader can look out for in the burnout possibility of their staff members?
So I've alluded to, personality changes. I mean, it's really hard. The thing is, we are dealing with a COVID world where we're doing a lot of things virtually. And because we're doing a lot of things virtually, we are not able to connect as well. I guess face-to-face will be the best, but we only can do what we can with whatever resources we have, right? Zoom is obviously our best friend for virtual meetings. But I wonder whether organizations now have, virtual meetings for team members to connect outside the workspace, like virtual coffee or virtual games. I think last year, my organization, we had like a virtual trivia night and a few other things that we can still try to connect to each other in our best way we can. But I guess, let's say we didn't have COVID and we were working face-to-face, right? I think one of the early signs of burnout will be personality change. If they're not themselves who they used to be, that's a warning bell for me as a leader. And work performance can be one. I mean, there are many reasons for a dip in their work performance because they were probably performing really well and suddenly you see a drop. And something's clearly happened to them, either to themselves or something externally in their work, in their personal environment. I think those are the early warning signs. And just day-to-day interaction, you'll notice the body language, the change in demeanor. Maybe they're not as interactive anymore. They're just in their own world. I think as leaders, all of us are intuitive, so we can pick up those nonverbal things like signs and the very obvious signs like work performance, taking lots of sick leave, personal leave. And when we, try to speak to our team member, I think that non-judgment approach, non-bias approach that you talked about, Mick, will be best. Because I think, with this kind of scenario, you'll be thinking can't you just be resilient? And yeah, I know resilience is one of those words that they throw at us in healthcare a lot, certainly. But there's a lot more. I feel resilience is a lot more to it that meets the eye. There's a lot of dynamic expansion and growth in it. And certainly it can be used as a tool. But it's not, I wouldn't encourage leaders to just throw that at their team members' face and say, can't you just be resilient? Can't you just pull up your socks and just get on with it? That's probably not an approach I encourage, but more like we talked about, more that curiosity mindset, just trying to find out what's exactly is going on in their personal life and just try to be as supportive as we can, really. I think once you adopt a curious mindset, a beginner's mindset, just trying to really learn about your team member as a person, not just someone who just does that particular task for you and tick all the boxes for your team. That really opens up a lot of beautiful connection, beautiful bond with your team member. Yeah, so as I said, the curiosity mindset, try to not put biases, like you said, conscious and unconscious bias into your interaction with your team member. And I guess with the current climate, with COVID, maybe mentoring, maybe not by yourself as a leader, maybe with other members in your team as well, mentoring this particular team member who's struggling can help. And helping this team member, struggle with burnout, mentoring is certainly a very helpful tool for people who are burnt out. And certainly myself, when I went through burnout, I had a coach and I also had a mentor. So that really helped me deal with my own burnout. And I'm sure that will help leaders out there who have team members struggling with burnout. getting their team members some support, lots of support through mentoring or coaching, and your own way of connecting with them and supporting them will be ideal.
Some takeaways I take there, Olivier. So what I'm hearing is to really pay attention, and to pay attention without judgment. You don't know at that point what that person is going through that is leading to their current state. And what you're looking for is any out of the ordinary behavior. Every human being is different. They have their different personality traits. They have their different preferences. If someone doesn't normally get agitated and all of a sudden they're agitated, that's an out of the ordinary behavior. If someone is not normally withdrawn and all of a sudden they're withdrawn, that's an out of the ordinary behavior. So you're looking for things that are out of their normal pattern. And then, as Dr. Olivia is saying, become curious. Become curious and ask questions with an open mind and without judgment. You spoke about resilience. I want to dig into that a little bit more. It is something that I have a strong personal opinion about. People talk about resilience as being an admirable attribute, but in my view, it can be dangerous. What are your thoughts about that drive, asking people to be more resilient? Let's talk about that a little more.
Sure. Okay. Let's unpack that a bit. So as I've talked about, resilience is also a term that quite a number of healthcare professionals don't like, because when they're burnt out, when they seek help, guess what happens? When they tell their bosses, oh, I'm feeling burnt out, I need help. And of course, their bosses will go, you need to be resilient, more resilient. You need to get your act together and move forward and just suck it up and just soldier on. That's why I feel as healthcare professionals, we have this negative. I'm sure there's other industries out there who feel the same, like their superior or their supervisors or their leaders who work above them go, yeah, you need to be more resilient. You need to kind of pull up your socks and get on with it. You'll be all right. Or I'm going to throw in a well-being program at 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. just to make you more resilient. How about that? So they throw in that too. And we, unfortunately, healthcare we've been through that as well. But resilience is a lot more than just something that people throw at us. And I think that's something that we all have in us. And, self-compassion and resilience probably can go hand in hand together. They're best friends that never actually found each other, but now they have, and they need to have synergism in this too. Because a part of resilience is also looking after yourself, essentially. It's not just something that, let's build up this extra skill that we lack, and then we have to kind of learn all these extra tools. No, we actually have it all. We have resilience all this while. But the problem is COVID has eroded our resilience. Leadership tasks has eroded our resilience. And this is where self-compassion can come in. We have to acknowledge, yes, that's happening. But we still have it. We can grow, we can get it back, we can overcome it. As in not resilience, overcome challenges out there. And resilience, I see it as more like a dynamic expansion type of tool rather than a toolkit that we have to learn from an organization or a person virtually or whatever. It's something that we already have it inside, but we kind of synergize it together with self-compassion. I think these two just work so well together. Actually, self-compassion just works well with any other tool use, any leadership skill, like toolkit, skill, because sometimes when we learn all these extra tools, toolkit, it's like, oh, whoa, like that's just like more things to add on to our checklist, right? Self-compassion just allows us to go, yep, this is what I'm suffering. It's not because I'm not resilient, it's because I've had all these traumatic things that's happened to me. Let's take a healthcare professional in the front line, for example. Yep. I've just seen too many people die in front of me. I'm separated from my family members. I'm all by myself. I feel very isolated, excluded from the human race in general. I just feel so alone, and I'm so burnt out. I can't seek any help. They don't understand me. If I tell my boss, they'll say it's a pandemic, deal with it. Just be more resilient. But I think this is where self-compassion can come in. It can help us to, from the erosion, we just expand the resilience expands. I think if we see it that way, as something fluid, something expendable, then we see it in a different light rather than, oh gosh, another toolkit adding to our leadership checklist, boom, And that's how I see it. I mean, there's many versions of resilience out there. People have done research on it, but that's my own take on leadership and resilience.
So the things that you're describing there that the medical profession are going through and many leaders are going through, it's more than any human being can really cope with individually. And where my issue with resilience comes in is that it could drive a behaviour where people become overly stoic and they get to the point where they feel like they can't stick up their hand and ask for help. And my message to everyone at home, and I might even say this twice, sticking your hand up and asking for help is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness. Sticking up your hand and asking for help is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness. And this is where the word resilience, if it gets misinterpreted, can cause problems. Where resilience is powerful is what Dr. Olivia is now talking about, and that is team resilience. The ability as a team to rally around each other. And when someone is going through a particularly rough time, whether it be workload related, workplace related, or something in their personal life, a resilient team is able to rally around that person and help them through it. And that's where resilience does have a place. Let's come back now to managing self, looking out for signs of burnout, and what an individual leader can do to reduce their risk of burnout. One of the things that I've picked up through time and watching other leaders, for example, you see things like Mark Zuckerberg wears the same T-shirt every day. You see people like Chandler Bolt, the head of the self-publishing school, very active and gets through an incredible amount of work. But what he does is he outsources everything that is something that someone else could do. So meal preparation, laundry, house cleaning, etc. So he no longer has to think about those things. What are your reflections about what I'm sharing there with regard to decision-making and burnout?
I guess one of the factors to leading to burnout will be trying to do everything yourself and not asking for help. And certainly you raise a very good point about leaders asking for help. And I think Brené Brown sums up really beautifully when she said vulnerability is actually a great superpower for leaders. And I think the fact that if you are burning out and you need help, ask for help. And by asking for help, you're actually opening a lot of doors for you to get out of burnout. And one of the things I talk about with my clients is a strategy plan, because burnout, I see it not as a problem. Because what happens when you have a problem, you always try to come up with a solution to fix, right? It's like 1 + 1 = 2, and that's it. But burnout is not just simply a problem we have to fix. It's a dilemma. We will have to deal with it all the time. And we need to have our own barometer, what burnout is in ourselves, because everyone's barometer of burnout is different. Like some people could be insomnia, like they're not sleeping well, or some people they're finding that they're getting quite cranky and irritable towards the people around them and towards themselves, and being all harsh and critical in their inner world. And I encourage leaders out there to have their own barometers of burnout, and to have a strategy plan for it. And strategy plan involves adopting 2 or 3 habits to help keep your burnout barometer in check, because it's very easy to swing to burnout very quickly. As leaders, you're always trying to hustle and do lots of things, and you're trying to get things done, and before you know it, you're on that rabbit hole of burnout. So I think every leader should have their duty of care to themselves and to the people around them to have their own barometer of burnout and have a strategy plan for it. Like for myself, for my own strategy plan, I have a coach, my own coach to keep myself accountable. And one of my coaches, Dr. Drummond, actually is a big proponent of physician burnout in the US. So he's done lots of work, has helped 30,000 over doctors through burnout in the US alone. And one of his roles is to speak to C-suite leaders and educating them and getting them to be aware about the physicians who work under them, what their lives are truly like with burnout, and getting them to take some action and to look after these physicians. And so as coming back to my own practice, yes, getting a coach can be quite helpful. Getting a mentor, if you don't want to get a coach, get a mentor in your own industry, because leadership, there's so many different niches and specialties. Get a mentor in your own industry. And for my own practice, I do a gratitude practice, which we all know about gratitude, like being grateful for the simple things in life. So I actually practice that myself. Grateful for 3 things every day. Try to be grateful. Try to think about 3 things I'm grateful for, and I teach my children that as well. So that's a big part of my habit, because gratitude is a muscle as well. It's not easy to be grateful in the current climate sometimes, but especially in lockdown. But you have to just take it, continue to practice gratitude like a muscle. And the last habit that I do is probably more like a meditation practice. And I'm sure that meditation gets thrown about again, like buzzword, like you got to meditate, maybe like a resilience tool. You got to meditate to become that good, awesome leader, or it's an extra tool, like an extra tool that we have to learn to, I guess, to tick the boxes of your organization. Perhaps they might introduce a meditation like program or something. But I think in our own practice as leaders, meditation can help us focus better, pay attention better. And I'm sure Mark Zuckerberg does meditation, pretty sure. I see meditation as not just sitting on a cushion, and zenning away, but meditation could be simple things like taking a break in between tasks and just closing your eyes for 5 minutes. That's actually meditation, reducing that we call it monkey mind, or in the mindfulness space. And that's certainly what meditation is, just taking that 5 minutes out. I'm sure we can carve out 5 minutes in our day to just close our eyes and just take a deep breath and then not think about our work and not think about anything in general. And that actually just helps to clear the mind. So I do that every day. I don't do the Zen, sitting on the cushion bit. I don't have, really have a Zen cushion, but I do meditative practice like that in pockets of in my schedule. Yeah. So those are my 3 habits that I do. And I'm sure every leader will have his or her own 2 or 3 habits as part of his or her strategy plan for burnout. And that's why I encourage you to kind of try to find what those 3 habits are, 2 or 3 habits are, and try to stick to them every day, but not make it like a chore, like it's a checklist, but rather embody it and integrate it in your leadership life and your personal life as well.
Some great takeaways there, Olivia, and I'll talk about the last one first, which is about having ways that you can clear your mind, whatever your preference is. So whether it be full-blown meditation or any other kind of mindfulness, you need that ability to clear your mind so that you can think straight. Making it a habit and having habit-forming approaches is absolutely wonderful approach. Think about what Olivia was saying about having a support infrastructure around you that can support you in all kinds of different ways, including fully subscribe to the concept of having a coach. Very powerful thing. And anyone that hasn't tried coaching, I strongly encourage you to look at that. And then coming back to the first thing that we're talking about, making decisions, whether you're in the medical profession or you're a leader in other industries, making decisions is actually quite draining when it comes to your own energy and your own ability to function. So any decision that you can park somewhere, either make it so there is no decision. Things like the Mark Zuckerberg, and I think Steve Jobs did this too, wearing the same shirt every day. But that's one less decision that you've got to make in that day. So making decisions can be exhausting. So for some decisions, just let someone else handle it for you, or make it so that the decision is just binary, yes or no, and you just get on with it, so that you can then focus on what is more impactful for you in terms of your responsibilities as a leader or as a medical professional. So wonderful sharings there, Olivia, and thank you for sharing that with us. I want to now talk about your book launch is going to be on Are You OK Day. Tell us the meaning of that and why you chose that day.
Yeah. So Are You OK Day is a particular day, I guess, in Australia where we check in with the people around us, like our colleagues, our friends, even with ourselves. Are you okay? And this is a particular, I guess this idea stemmed from Gavin, who is an individual. I think his father passed away because his father killed himself. And he saw it in him to create this particular project or initiative called Are You OK Day. So to raise awareness that people who are suffering from, say, mental health issues and things like that, because of this, there is a stigma. We have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, that there is a stigma to getting help for mental health issues. In the healthcare industry, we see that a lot. Doctors not asking for help when they have mental health issues. And I'm sure it translates to people in general not seeking help because, there's a stigma around mental health, right? Issues and things like that. So the Are You OK Day is, as I said, check-in. It's a day where we check in with with ourselves, other people around us, whether they are okay. It's that extra step of trying to connect with, the people around them, actually being curious, being, mindful and being compassionate towards them. Because as we talked about in the interview today, that, as leaders, our team members could be struggling. And we should make actually every day an Are You OK Day rather than just 9th of September, Are You OK Day? And I think this is something that we have learned as leaders trying to, work in the current climate in pandemic, that we've all actually become more compassionate towards each other because we've all been through hell and back in the current climate with everything what we've gone through. And I think now everyone has become, more compassionate and kinder towards each other, I feel. And so as I said, make every day Are You OK Day? And that's how. And I think Are You OK Day is a very special day in Australia because there's a lot of events and charities and foundations about raising awareness for mental health in general also happens on this day. So it's the extra step to get people to be aware that, they have to actually check in with themselves and other people, whether they are truly okay and not just be in your own world, you see.
What I love about Are You OK Day is that it does build awareness and it gets people talking. It gets that conversation going. Fully agree with you. You shouldn't wait until the 9th of September every year to check in with someone to see if they're okay. But I'm still glad that Are You OK Day exists because of that awareness and having those conversations. And listen to some of the language that Olivia just used. She didn't just say, Are you okay? She said, Are you really okay? So it means stopping and pausing and paying attention to the answer. It's not just asking a question. It's taking a genuine interest in the answer. And people that listen to the podcast on a regular basis or follow our Facebook community group or our LinkedIn page, I'm sure it's not the first time that you've heard me say that how are you is not a greeting. It's a question. So in the morning when you're meeting and greeting your team members and you say, hey, how are you? It's not a greeting, it's a question. So take the time, pause, and listen for the answer. There's a strong chance because not everyone's used to this. Not everyone's used to someone taking a genuine interest in them, that they may not even realize that you're asking a question. They may think it's a greeting. So you might even have to pause and say, no, really, how are you? And really look into their eyes and engage with them and make them feel that they matter and make them feel that you genuinely care in their well-being. So that's the call to action for everyone today, to do that, to pay attention. And coming back to the signs of burnout, look for any signs of kind of any behaviour that is out of the ordinary. These are the things I'd like you to take away from today's discussion with Olivia. So that's bringing us close to a close now. This will be a very interesting question for you, Olivia, when you think about all the things that you've been through in your life. We ask this question to all of our guests. What's the one thing that you know now that you wish you knew when you were 20?
Gosh, this is a really beautiful self-reflection question. But I wish when I was 20, I knew what self-compassion was, because I wasn't compassionate when I was 20. Being a perfectionist, high achiever and all, being so highly critical of myself, like every little mistake I made, I will just be beating myself up. And then I'll just waste so much energy and pain and suffering, literally, just going through, just my mind was my greatest enemy when I was 20. And I think self-compassion helps with that. Helps you to be your best friend to yourself.
Oh, very good, and great advice for anyone out there in the audience. I'm going to experiment a little bit here, Olivia. I've been thinking about this for a while, and Chris Crow, one of our audience members, got me on to thinking about this. I want to experiment with a few other questions that I'd like to start asking the guests as they come on the show. You're an author, so this will be an interesting question for you. What's the most influential book that you've ever read?
Well, I love reading books, but one of the books that really impacted me the most was Brené Brown's Dare to Lead. I think she talks a lot about leadership and leaders having vulnerability. When I read that book, that was a game changer, because that was like, vulnerable doesn't mean and it's not admitting you're weak. It's admitting that you are seeking, if you are in trouble, you seek help, and it's just giving a part of yourself to your team and getting them to see the real side of you, keeping it real, and just showing the authenticity, which is another, I know, buzzword, but just seeing that real side of you. And that's, I think, how team members, as leaders, team members and leaders can, and then they will encourage team members to open up their vulnerability. So it's a superpower, and that just forms that transparent, beautiful bond that eventually that gels the team together. And I think that's, think of vulnerability as a superpower. That is what that book, Brené's book, Dare to Lead, taught me.
Yeah.
Because in medicine, vulnerability is not perceived as a superpower. It's perceived as a weakness.
Nice one. And do you have a favorite quote?
I think there was the arena one, which I can't. Brené Brown talked about the arena, fighting it in something about arena. But not from the book itself, but I have another favorite quote that I use. Not from Brené. Brené has many good quotes for leadership, but a particular quote that I really love is Maya Angelou's. Don't remember the exact words that you say, but they remember the emotions they feel when they hear it. So I think that's probably not the exact words that Maya Angelou said, but you get the gist. That's what she exactly said. Yeah. She said something along that lines. So I love that.
People may forget what you said. Yeah. They may forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Yeah. And another one will be, now it just popped up, will be Simon Sinek's Why. People don't buy what you do. I mean, this is probably not exact. Again, people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. I think as leaders, that's the whole, I think Simon Sinek is just an awesome leader, like a leader in his own space, because he's been talking about the why since 2009. He still talks about the why in 2021, right? 12 years on. But as leaders, we need to, when we lose track of what's happening, we just have to go back. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this leadership stuff? Why are we being a leader in this space? And then Simon Sinek's Why always pops into my mind.
So you nailed that one. People don't buy what you do; they buy why you do it. Yeah, well done.
Exactly.
All right, and finally, Olivia, if people are looking to get in contact with you and learn more about what you do and to learn more about the Heart-Centred Doctor or the upcoming book or even Are You OK Day, how do they get in contact with you?
Sure. If they want to get in contact with me or learn a bit more about me, they can contact me through my website on drolivialeong.com. Alternatively, they can find me on social media, like I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram as well. And they can buy, if they want to purchase my book, it's on my website under the book section. Thank you.
Great. And I'll put those links in the show notes as well, Olivia, so everyone can find them. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. You've woken up very early in Melbourne to spend some time with us today. Greatly appreciated. Best of luck with the book launch coming up. And thank you for all that you do for bringing to attention the need for people to look out for themselves and look out for the signs of burnout, particularly in the medical profession in your case, but really lots of great lessons for all of us there. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mick, for having me.
You've been listening to The Leadership Project with your host, Mick Spears. Join us each week as we bring you more thought-provoking guests. Don't forget to hit subscribe so that you are informed of all future episodes. If you are enjoying the show, it would be greatly appreciated if you can leave us a review and tell your friends about us. You are also welcome to join the Leadership Project Facebook community group, where we have an active conversation going about all things leadership. Please do take care, look out for each other, and always remember to challenge the status quo.